Okay, hello everybody. Thanks very much for joining the webinar this month. My name's Ian Gerard and this is the Microsoft monthly licensing webinar. These are being recorded, so if you would like a copy of this, then it will be made available, will be sent round afterwards. Alternatively, I'm more than happy to kind of come in and present these directly to put a bit of a more relevant spin on for your organisation. We'll be looking at this month some of the recent changes and updates from Microsoft. So again, if there's anything that you see here that you think is going to be relevant for yourself, or you'd like some more information and kind of some follow-up, then please don't hesitate to get in contact directly with myself or with your ULTIMA account management team. But what we'll be doing is running through at a pretty high level some of the recent news and updates from Microsoft as in regards to their product, their licensing, and the various agreements. There's been several updates, which is why we've put together a webinar covering all of them. But obviously, if you do have any questions, then please do let me know, and those will be monitored, and I'll be looking to cover those off at the end. So without further ado, what we will start by looking at one of the main areas of growth for Microsoft, which is actually around their, let me just sort that out, which is actually just around the new agreement, the CSP agreement, the Cloud Solutions Partner Agreement, which is effectively a month-by-month licensing agreement. So rather than having to sign up for the full year or for a 3-year term, you can effectively adjust your licenses up and down every single month. This is something that mainly provides cloud-only licensing. Well, some of the major investments Microsoft are making are also replicated by the investments Ultima are making as well. And in April, we'll be actually having our new portal, our new CSP platform. And this is going to be very much a self-service portal where you can actually go on and add, remove licenses yourself and make it all relevant. You can see all of your various price lists. You can monitor your Azure usage and actually that consumption. You'll be able to see roughly what's being spent and in what way, by which teams, who's consumed which license, who's taken that. So you can kind of provide access or restrict access as is required. But this is something where Ultima are providing the support, so should anything go wrong, and in that first, second line support, you will be coming through to the Ultima Technical Support Centre. And obviously with our new portal, it's something that we're obviously investing a lot of money in, as are Microsoft. And in fact, they're only adding more and more product to the CSP agreement as we go. There's still a lot that it potentially can't do initially. Doesn't have all the licenses on there, but what is now available, I mentioned it's a month-on-month agreement, but there are now some 3-year options on there, excuse me, specifically for Dynamics initially. But what we're looking to do, what Microsoft are looking to do, is probably increase that over time. But I think you can see some of the Dynamics licensing on there at the moment. So what you will effectively have is a similar scenario where that would have that price locked for that full 3-year term. So you're making that long-term commitment. You can still adjust numbers on an annual basis and include new users and what have you, and they'll all be at that lot price. That first license purchase sets that 3-year term, with other licenses being co-termed to that. There is another new wave of more on-premise products coming onto the CSP agreement. Like I say, it's predominantly a cloud agreement for you to procure your cloud licenses, but you can start purchasing on-premise licenses. We've seen the Windows 10 desktop license on there, and now we're seeing the RDS CALs also being available via the CSP. So I think we will see more and more on-premise products come onto the CSP to make it a little bit more viable to all organizations. One thing that we did want to cover off, is the fact that there is a new agreement launched by Microsoft this month. We may not be aware of it, but it's called the Microsoft Customer Agreement, and it's specifically for Azure-only scenarios. What it effectively is like a 3-year Azure-only commitment. Some organizations have something called a server in cloud enrollment, an SCE agreement, and you can buy SQL licenses underneath their Windows server licenses, System Center. You can buy Visual Studio, and you can also buy Azure. Now, if you're buying Azure only and you're not buying those other products, Microsoft are now saying, well, actually, we are launching this new agreement called the Microsoft Customer Agreement, the MCA. This is, again, a direct agreement with Microsoft. But again, it's going to be, the idea being that it is going to be seeing more and more agreements come to this direct agreement, where actually it's going to be a lot more self-service by the end customer. There's still going to be all of that partner value add piece, but again, it's just Microsoft's new way of approaching this commerce platform. So effectively, you're going to be seeing a move away from, as we certainly are seeing over the last, I'd say almost 24 months. But you are seeing a move away from that left-hand side where you've got a proliferation of many, many agreements. You have the enterprise agreement, a 3-year agreement, the Select Plus, which is like a transactional agreement that was replaced by the MPSA. The MPSA is one where you can buy your on-premise licenses or cloud licenses. You can commit short-term or longer-term. There's the open agreement through DISTI, the CSP, which I've spoken about as well. And of course, you could have always bought your licenses direct on a credit card from the Microsoft website. So all of these different offers, all packaged up and delivered in a slightly different way. Microsoft are looking to have a more modern approach, where they're effectively saying there's going to be a single commercial licensing agreement, whether you're a large customer or a small customer. If you're obviously a large, then Microsoft will get involved and there'll be a higher level of discount, filtering right down to those where the partner will effectively be managing them. So we're not going to get there, on day one. This process really started many years ago, but in earnest with the launch of CSP around 2 years ago. And I think we are still going to be moving towards the modern platform over the next few years. Really, I don't think the enterprise agreement is going to be going anywhere for those over 500 users, and then you're going to be seeing CSP really picking up the baton for all other usage. But we're also seeing things within Azure which Microsoft are taking direct and effectively 100% Microsoft delivered. So it's an interesting move. That's really where we're heading over time. And certainly with the introduction of more on-premise products onto CSP, we can see those other agreements like MPSA being filtered out. But we're not there yet, and we're still a little while away from it yet, but certainly something to keep on top of. Office 365 updates. The main updates, again, really being the introduction of My Analytics into all of the Exchange Online subscriptions now. So that is Exchange Online Plan 1, it's E1, it's E3, it's obviously E5. So My Analytics was previously only available in E5, but now Microsoft have made it available all round. And this is where you have your own personal dashboard. Effectively, you'll be sent like a weekly email which summarizes, okay, these the meetings that you attended, this is the people you contacted, people you IM, this is how you worked when you did your most work, and make suggestions on perhaps working a little smarter. If you had a couple of meetings and over a period of days, it will suggest things like, is it possible to combine these or what have you. So that's a big value add by Microsoft, something which wasn't previously available, which is now within the Exchange Online subscriptions. So that's kind of come out of E5, and a major strategic push from Microsoft is their E5 level of Office 365. Most organizations are standardizing on that Office 365 E3 level. So the E3 level gives you the Exchange Online up to, Enterprise Edition on premise, similarly with Skype and SharePoint, and obviously Office Professional Plus and Flow and all these other, OneDrive, like I said, and a few others. But really, when you needed to go to E5, the main things pushing you up to E5 were Skype telephony. If you want to have it as a full telephony system, and some of the Microsoft security suites as well, things like advanced threat protection and cloud app security, and also there was then the Power BI. And not many organizations were really investing in Office 365, that E5 layer. But basically they're thinking, well, we're E3 layer, but we're interested in Power BI, so we'll just buy that as an individual component. Or we're looking at doing, E3 level or even E1 level, but we'd like to look at Skype telephony. So they're just buying the Skype telephony component parts. So Microsoft have recognized that full E5 value, people with organizations weren't seeing that. So they've introduced a couple of new suites above E3, one of which is called the Information Protection and Compliance suite, and the other one is the Identity and Theft Protection suite. And these are both comprised of components of E5 plus some new ones thrown in there. So effectively, the compliance piece would include the advanced compliance, which is a new layer of security from Microsoft, alongside the Azure Information Protection Plan 2. Actually, that Azure Information Protection was part of the Enterprise Mobility and Security Suite, but you can effectively add that onto E3 to get those E5 level of components. And similarly with the identity and threat protection as well, that's almost every other Microsoft security offering, right down to the Cloud App Security, Azure Advanced Threat Protection, Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection. It actually includes Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection, which is that Windows E5 piece. So really what Microsoft's looking to do there is to encourage more organizations to make the move from the E3 level of functionality to that E5 level of functionality by providing more value to the suites. And then as you're looking to build this up, then potentially as an organization, you may go to E5. But as I said right at the start of the call, every organization's unique scenario and dates and timings will be unique. The drivers that your organization has. So this is the only way to really work this out, is to sit down and cost model it out, work out what are the options, what does it cost you to do it as an individual component piece, and at what point do you break even? At what point does it become better value to buy those larger suites? And this is really where they sit. This is just a visualization. The next slide is just a visualization of where those two new suites sit across the security and compliance stack. So if you think about E5 having elements of security, elements of compliance, areas of analytics, and areas of meetings and calls, well, we know from the analytics side, that My Analytics one, that put it in red, we know that's actually moving out of E5. And then both the security and the compliance side, whether it's Office 365, Enterprise Mobility, or that Windows desktop piece, you can see that those new suites kind of cover that E5 layer. Obviously, I've started in these slides, so it's American pricing, $10 or $12, which, well, probably is like for like anyway now, isn't it? So, but that's interesting. I did want to update this. This is something I've spoken about the last couple of times, but this is in regards to an exception, a key exception that Microsoft offer for organizations moving from an on-premise license scenario to a online license scenario. So and bear with me, this is really quite important, really. So if you've been an organization who's always bought software assurance on your on-premise licenses, so you've bought Exchange and Office and that Windows, all with software assurance, and then you're looking to move to Office 365 for the first time. So whether you're looking at E1 or E3 or even E5, you're looking at the cost of that subscription against the cost of just renewing your on-premise software assurance, what you've always done, retaining those perpetual rights. And just to help bridge the gap by basically the online subscriptions being more expensive than just renewing that software assurance online, Microsoft provide a discounted online subscription for this scenario, and it's called the From SA. So literally you're coming from software assurance to a online subscription. So they do offer this kind of 15% discount as this online From SA discount, which just helps match commercially the price of what it would be on premise. There's a key other benefit of this From SA online license, and that is that Microsoft allow you to actually still do the perpetual download of Office Professional Plus, which means that you've got that version control and you're not going to automatically be pushed to the click to run version of Office, which may severely impact all of your third-party applications. So you want to stick at 2016 for good reason, and that from SA allows you to do that. Microsoft are removing this exception on the first, because of course they are. They're removing this exception on the 1st of August 2019. So effectively, if you've got a subscription by that time with the From SA, then you are continually allowed to do that perpetual download of Office Professional Plus. If you buy it after the 1st of August, you still get the discount, that 15%. So commercially, it looks even, but you don't get that perpetual download of Office Professional Plus. So if that's going to immediately, you're going to have to be on that latest click to run version of Office Professional Plus. So that would mean that it could have some technical implications, to put it mildly. So definitely worth monitoring that. And effectively think you are going to be effective, then, purchase before the 1st of August. Or for example, ULTIMA have various methodologies, Drive with Office 365, which just helps assess how well your organization is geared to make those types of moves. So, if it's going to be an issue, you do have the time to address it, but it could be a big one, that one. So there are still other updates and news that I wanted to run through. Microsoft's e-learning portal, which actually last year did go away, and it's been changed to something called Microsoft Learn. You used to have software assurance on Exchange to access the Exchange online end user training. That's what e-learning is, Exchange, end user training. It's been replaced by Microsoft Learn, and this is available to every customer, regardless of whether you have software assurance or not. And it's that end user training, online training. Extended support. So we saw Windows Server 2012 and SQL Server 2012 have their extended support released this month in March. Normally it's about 50% of the license cost. We actually see that pushing up to around the 75%, 80%. So that's pretty expensive extended support for Windows Server 2012. And we also know now that Windows 7, that extended support is going to be available from the 1st of April. So again, if your organization has Windows Server 2012, SQL 2012, or Windows 7, extended support is available now, or is going to be available from next month. Ordinarily, you'd be looking at the extended support being approximately 50%-ish of the license cost. That has gone up to around 75% plus. Microsoft want you off those legacy servers and desktops. Microsoft 365 is the single SKU which kind of incorporates Office 365, the Mobility Suite, and Windows. In your portal, you would see that's 3 individual licenses. Well, it's now basically one SKU. So when you are provisioning those licenses, it takes you less time, 60% more efficient. The Visual Studio Team Foundation server is now known as the Azure DevOps server. There's no price increase, there's no change in the licensing model. It is still one of those license the server, license individual user with the CAL type models, but it's now called the Azure DevOps server. What else? System Center 2019 is now in general availability. It has been released, and again, fully available, no price increases, and no licensing changes with System Center 2019. One of the other disappointments is that the home use program is being discontinued, ending on the 30th of June 2019. So if you've got an enterprise agreement in June, you're not going to qualify for the home use program. And the home use program is if you have software assurance on your Office licenses, you can buy a home copy of Office for like £12.95 rather than £220. The new offer, rather than that, Microsoft are giving you a 30% discount on Office 365 Home and Business. That's not strict. When we say, the Home Use program is ending, it is still available if you are over 2,000 users. So ended on a lovely downer, but those were the updates from Microsoft. Please let me know if you have any questions. You'll see my contact details on there. If you would rather contact me via email, you can obviously contact your account manager as well directly at ULTIMA. All that remains for me to say is thank you very much for joining. Goodbye.